Hey there, guitar friend. In this video, I'm going to show you a technique that I've used for many years on how to find any chord on the guitar. And this is a great little technique. Helps you to really understand the fretboard and how to figure out those difficult chords. Some of those, flatted nines and sharp fives and all of the weird kind of stuff that you might see, in various chord books or music. All right, let's take a close-up here. Okay, let me explain when I say the term root spine. What I'm talking about is finding the root that we want to use, or what the root of the chord is going to be. I'm going to use the E string, so we're only going to do E string roots here in this lesson. Okay, so here on the E string, I'm going to call that 1. The A string, then from 1 to here is 4. So from the E string to the A string is a fourth interval. So it goes 1, 4. Now to the D string, that is a flatted seventh. Okay, so from here to here is a flatted seventh. Here's the flatted third right here. Here's the fifth. And here is the root once again, okay, 2 octaves higher. So 1, 4, flatted 7, flatted third, fifth, and root. Okay, now why do I call it the spine? Because this is going to be my center position. Okay, so now I can have a chord that forms on this side of the fret, or I can have a chord that forms this side of the fret. Okay, now the reason that we want to talk about intervals, I want to talk about the numbers. I don't necessarily want to talk about the letters. Not yet. We will eventually. But the idea of this is for you to find any chord on the fly. Now, if you've watched the other 2 videos that I've done, the intro to scale theory and the intro to chord theory, you'll have some basic ideas of what we're talking about as far as, half steps or whole steps, and knowing how chords are formed, based on the scale, the 1, 3, 5, and then whatever extension that you want. Okay, so here's what makes this valuable. I know this is my root. Now I know this is my fourth. Let's say, for example, I want to play an A major. So if I know this is the 4th degree, then if I go up a whole step, there's my 5th degree. So I have my 1 and my 5 right here, okay? Now here is my flatted 7th. So if I want to play a flatted 7th, I've got 1, 5, and 7 right here. 1, 5, 7. Okay? Now, I go down, here's my flatted third, so I go up a semitone right here. So there's my major third, okay? So here's my 5th already, and here's my root. So when I play this chord, I'm playing an A7, okay? Okay, that's basically how this works. Now let's say, for example, that you come across a chord, let's say, for example, an A13, okay? So where is the 13? Well, you got to understand, 2 is the same as 9, 4 is the same as 11, and 6 is the same as 13, just an octave apart, okay? So now when we talk about, say, like an A13, okay, what I need to do, because 6 and 13 are the same, so, and because I know the shape already, I'm just going to cut to the chase here. If I look here at the 4th, and I know I need a 6, 6 is way up here. Well, that's going to be too far of a stretch, okay, for this chord. So what I need to find is something that's close to a 6, that's an octave higher, so I can call it a 13, all right? So here's my 5th right here, okay? So if I just go up a whole step from the 5th, now I have my 13. So let's always start with a chord, the chord shape that you know. And I'm doing major chords right now. Here's the A7. If I just put my pinky right here, right there, that's the 13th. How do I know that? Here's my 5th, and here's the 6th, and I know that 6 and 13 are the same. So here is an A13. Okay? You can play it more of a jazzy way, thusly, right here. Okay? I don't need to play the fifth to get the full gist of the sound, right? You hear that in my chord theory. Not every note is necessary to play. Okay, so now what makes this a 13 rather than making it a sixth, right? Because this is 6 and 13 are the same. Well, let me show you. So, here's my 1, here's my 4, okay? And here, right here, is my flatted 7th. Now, if I take my flatted 7th down a half step, here's a 6. So here's my 1, here's my 6. Okay, now I can take this and I can play right here my my major third, right? Here's the flatted third, right? Because of the spine. Here's my flatted third. I raise that up. There's my major third, and then here's the fifth. So I have a 1, 6, 3, and 5. Okay, this would be an A6. Why? Because I've got the 6 down here, but if I played it up here, I'm going to call it a 13. All right, that makes sense? Here's 13, here's the 6. Because I know where the spine is, then I know easily enough where I can find, the actual interval that's necessary to form the chord. So if this is 1 and this is 4, well, then this would be a third right here, okay? So I can go 1, 3, okay? And here's my flatted 7th right here. So I can play an A7 like this. Okay? Right here. Now, let's say, for example, we're going to take the minor. So here I'm just still in the 5th position. And the minor 7th chord, like this, I'm not playing the 5th, because here's my 1, flatted 7, flatted 3rd, 5th, and root. So that's what makes this an A minor 7, okay? Now let's say, for example, I want to play an A minor 7 flat 5. That's a chord that you're going to see pretty regularly. Well, now, how do I make the flat 5? Well, just find the 5th. Well, here's a 5th right here. Here's the 4th. Here's a flatted 5th. I could play it like this. And you could. A better way to play that is like this. So here's my 5th down here. I'm going to flat the 5th. Just move it down. Okay? So, again, I use my thumb. A better way to play that probably is like this. Right? So, but here's an A minor 7, flat 5. Okay? Because here's my A minor 7. I took this and I moved it down to a flat 5. All right, that makes sense? So you can find a lot of different chords. If you wanted to find, let's say, for example, the A9. Well, here's the root. Yeah, here's the root here. Here's the root as well. So if I just move it up to a 2, that's a 9. Well, that's a little too far, okay? Here's a 9 right here. So I could play, here's my A7. Let's do an A minor. A minor. And then if I just add, this is my 9th. Okay, there's an A minor 9. Right? Now, the idea of this is that you're finding notes close to the spine that'll help you to find the interval and help you to finger the chord. There are certain chords where you're not going to play every note, partly because the reach is too difficult. And so you might just skip that note. If you're playing with a band, or even solo, you don't necessarily need the 5th. You got the 3rd, and whether it's major or minor, and then you also have the root. Now, if you're playing in a band, you don't necessarily need a root either. Okay, let me show you one more here real quick that just kind of uses both sides. Right here. Well, I think I already showed you this, didn't I? the A6 is kind of splitting the spine right here. So I'm using both sides. So it's really kind of a center position chord to the root spine. This one, going more up the neck. Yeah. Some other chords that you might play, that go down on the other side. All right. Well, hey, hopefully that made some sense. All right, there you go. that's the method that I've used for many years, and it's been very effective for me. Hopefully it will be for you. I realize that this is a concept that might be a little difficult at first to grasp onto, but once you get this, once you really understand, you'll see how easy that this really can be. I would suggest getting a chord book and going through the chords so you have them right there, and then figure out why those chords are positioned or gripped that particular way on the guitar neck. That might be very helpful for you. Also, maybe find the other root spines for the other strings. That would be very beneficial as well. Now, I'll have some other lessons in the future regarding the same thing, and I'll have some of those things, maybe have some diagrams and what have you. Anyway, hey, until next time, happy practice.